You are probably wondering, how did Ramos go from this to fighting an entire Real Madrid team? Well, today I will be zeroing in on how Sergio Ramos was unceremoniously booted out of the Bernabeu in 2021 after almost 2 decades at the club. The Ramos-Perez relationship began with a young Ramos moving to Madrid for the record fee of 27 million in the summer of 2005. Ramos rocked up Fernando Hierro's number 4 jersey and ultimately signed an 8-year-long deal. But before this, the 19-year-old Ramos had enjoyed a stellar career in his hometown as his boyhood club Seville, endearing himself in the hearts of the Seville faithful in just 2 years at the club. This was quite remarkable for a defender who was still just a teenager. At that age, I wasn't even sure what I was going to do in my life. I wasn't sure if I was going to be an engineer, a doctor, or a world-renowned thumb wrestler. But Ramos knew what he wanted, and that was to play football for the biggest club in the world, the club of his dreams, and that was Real Madrid. Even though he was courted by the big guns in Europe, he had his eyes only for Madrid. Thankfully, Perez was on the same page as he made up his mind to bring Ramos to the heart of Spain after the youngster did something that left him stunned. It was during a game between Real Madrid and Seville. In Seville, that young Ramos unleashed a breathtaking shot from a set piece close to the centre circle. An insane goal indeed. Mind you, Seville never lost to Madrid when Ramos was in the team. And as the saying goes, if you can't beat them, you join them. But for Perez, it's if you can't beat them, you steal their players, which he did. And you'd agree with me that the young Ramos was indeed special. He had an amazing tactical awareness, a legit technical ability, and a clutch factor that could only be associated with seasoned vets. To add to that was his versatility. He could play at right back, centre back, a defensive midfielder. Also, don't forget his knack of scoring goals and breaking bones. These attributes were too much for Madrid's president to ignore. When Ramos arrived at Madrid, he wasn't considered a Galactico, but all that was about to change. He quickly hit the ground running, becoming a rock in Real's defence, a force in the Real's attack, and also solidified his status as a bona fide red card magnet, attracting an insane 5 red cards in just his first season. Talk about turning the pitch into a coliseum. He helped his team grab a couple of trophies along the way, but his biggest moments came in 2014 Champions League. Oh, I can't forget the role he played in destroying a Pep-led Bayern, netting 2 headers in 4 minutes to bring Madrid within touching distance of the La Decima. Neither can I forget the final goal against Atletico to tie the game in the nick of time. Man, I'm still having goosebumps just talking about this stuff. Ramos' never say attitude inspires some Madridistas to say, when I die, bury me in a Real Madrid jersey, I might just come back. Truly, Ramos was the king of comebacks, but amidst all this success, something sinister was brewing behind the scenes. Ramos and Perez relationship first showed signs of tension in 2013 after reports by the Maracas suggested that Ramos and Casillas had threatened that some players would leave the club if Mourinho was kicked out. Prezi in June, it's Mourinho or us, Ramos was aligned to have said during a meeting with Perez. I don't think Perez was pleased with that at all, but this came on the heels of some abysmal performances from Real Madrid under Mourinho. Real were 13 points behind Barca and Casillas had lost his number 1 spot. Nevertheless, Ramos denied the allegations, claiming he had no hand in such tomfoolery. But you and I can recall how that one ended. Mourinho got kicked so far out he landed in London and was never the same again. Remember that there's no smoke without fire. Behind every rumour there's an element of truth. Anyway, in 2015, Sergio Ramos pulled the same stunt and threw the eye of Perez when he threatened to leave to join Manchester United if he wasn't handed a better contract than United was presenting. Perez not in the mood to let his prized defender, who just won Madrid another Champions League trophy, leave. He extended his contract to 2020 with a year salary of 10 million euros. I don't think Perez was amused about the stunt either. I felt like he had been arm twisted into extending Ramos' contract. All of this created some degree of anonymity between the two, and their once father and son relationship was about to hit the rocks, but it was not the final nail in the coffin, not yet. First, you have to subscribe to this channel to see how it all ends. The final nail in the coffin came when a now 33-year-old Ramos found himself embroiled in another spat with Perez in 2019. According to sources, actually Marca and AS, after the two-legged tie against Ajax in the UEFA Champions League, things went south between Ramos and his big boss. Additionally, Madrid was 12 points behind Barca, and then he kicked out of the Copa del Rey. They didn't sit well with the president and he had to confront the players in the dressing room. However, he met a livid Ramos, who moaned about the team failing to buy a striker. But as an angry Perez, then he hit back at Ramos, telling him that his days at the Bernabeu were numbered. "I'll get rid of you," he said. Then Ramos, in the heat of the moment, dropped the bombshell. He reportedly said this: "Perfect, you pay me and I'll go. I've given everything and have broken my balls for the badge, for this club and even you." Their relationship was beyond repair after this. As for me, well, the heat in the dressing room was making me uneasy, so I became a spirit and glided through the very fabric of time and space, finding myself at the heart of Europe, Munich to be precise. You might be wondering why I'm here. Well, I'm here because Florentino Perez has his eyes fixed on the next young Galactico from this city, a replacement for Sergio Ramos, and I'm here to bear witness. And that young Galactico, my friend, is none other than David Alba. Well, you could say David Alba wasn't his replacement, but whatever floats your boat. As for me, it wasn't a coincidence that Alba's arrival coincided with Ramos' departure. Besides the snatched his number 4 jersey. Alba was in prime form at left back for Bayern, and with injuries causing Ramos to miss a good chunk of games, coupled with his strained relationship with the Madrid's president, Perez opted for the Bayern veteran. Los Blancos offered Ramos only a 1-year extension with a reduction in his wages. The legendary defender took time to consider it before agreeing to the deal, since he had wanted a 2-year extension, but he was unaware that Perez wasn't ready for his delayed antics this time round. He was done and it was too late for Ramos. I said okay, but they told me the offer that was on the table had expired. I respect their decision, but it was a surprise. A teary-eyed Ramos said during a press conference. Brutal. Well, if I say I'm shocked, I would be lying. Florentino Perez, the shrewd businessman, didn't get to the top by playing around. He achieved his success by taking brutal approach to things. I think he has made some terrible decisions that cost Madrid, like his unfair treatment of the coach Vicente del Bosque, which caused Madrid to chase after La Decima like a kid chasing their own shadow. Yet no one could deny his commitment to Real, and his shrewd approach has yielded positive results many times. In any case, Florentino Perez had said this about Ramos, his employee of many years, during the same press conference. "It's not an easy day because you've been really special to me and you have lived and suffered through historic moments for Real Madrid. I wish you all the best and want you to know this will always be your home. A legend like you will always be one of the club's great ambassadors." Los Blancos president had perfectly re-echoed and articulated the feelings of the Madristas, which is the statement, and I agree. All good things must come to an end, and once the door closes, another one opens. Ramos knew this as well because this is what he said: "Life goes on, an era has finished and a new one is starting." Just like Fernando Hierro's era ended when Sergio Ramos took his number 4 jersey, so did a new era begin when David Alba. Ramos had moved to PSG on a free transfer after signing a 2-year contract with the club, but injury problems saw him feature sparingly, and eventually he was back to Seville where it all began. The Ramos and Perez saga is a stark reminder that in football, everything eventually comes to an end, and out with the old and in with the new. Players come and go, but the Bernabeu remains. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are about this, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting stories like this one.